Welcome back everyone to another potential realized athletic enterprise video. This is Coach Drew. Now I have a video today on a subject that I've been wanting to cover for a while. I have a few notes written down here, so I'll kind of be reading more or less. Now the concept or the focus of today's video is on reprogramming yourself, or I suppose you could look at it as the step-by-step instruction on how to change your paradigm or shift your paradigm. There are a lot of things that we need to do if we want to create substantial change in our lives. And one of the things that I've noticed a lot with myself in my own personal history, as well as with a lot of my clients, we want everything to stay the same. We want to enjoy ourselves the way that we've always enjoyed ourselves. We want to eat the same things that we've always eaten. We want to go to the same places we've always gone to. We want to still be friends with the same people, watch the same shows, listen to the same music. We want everything around us to stay the same. We want to continue to do the same things the same way, yet we want to feel differently and we expect our lives to change without us really having to change. That's, I guess, the simplest way to truly put it is we want everything around us to change without expecting ourselves to have to change. And what I realized looking back on my own process, my own struggles and what I had to do in order to overcome those struggles, the thing that stood out to me the most was the concept of reprogramming myself. What did I have to do in order to change the way that I behaved, the way that I thought, the way that I responded to things outside of me, the way that I responded to things inside of me, for that matter. The way that I handled my own thoughts and emotional content and the story that I was telling myself about myself, I realized all of that had to change. And I didn't know how to do it. And that's where the concept of reprogramming yourself comes in. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and kind of read what I wrote and come up with a little brief summary at the end. So here we go. One of the biggest reprogramming phases I have undergone in my own life is the last 3 to 4 years, and in particular the last 2 years with building my own business. Around 4 years ago, I was bouncing around from job to job. I was really unable to convince myself to hold any position for any period of time, really. 4 to 6 months was the longest that I spent at any place. I really had this feeling deep down inside of me that I didn't belong at a day job. I really, really hated every single second of, to me, what was selling my life to someone by the hour. And I didn't really believe in the things that I was doing. I didn't like the products I was selling. I didn't appreciate the companies that I was working for. It was really difficult for me to convince myself to do that over and over. I had also recently ended a 13-year relationship. So I found myself single in my late 20s with no real direction, no career path, no real motivation to do anything other than pretty much loathe my own existence. At that point in time, I hated where I was living. I hated what I was doing with my days and my time. I hated my ex for putting me in the situation that I was in. And I really hated my childhood for what I had experienced. And I was convinced that I had issues that I couldn't overcome because of the things that I had gone through. I really couldn't see any way out. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. And in all honesty, it was more like simply trying to survive each day rather than trying to come up with a plan to change any of it. I really continued to complain and moan and play victim until one day I realized, quite by surprise, that I was literally exhausted. I was physically exhausted from repeating this story to myself over and over and over and over again. Every time I did it, it turned my stomach upside down. It made my palms and armpits sweaty. It made me feel sick to my stomach. Every time I repeated this story to myself, it re-emphasized and reinforced that I was helpless and hopeless and I had no way to change any of it. I was sick and tired of repeating the story to myself. I realized I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't feel capable. I really couldn't stand that was what I had become. I truly and honestly became disgusted with myself. And I really hated the feeling of not having control over my actions, my emotions, and most of all, my thoughts. It was at this point that I realized one of the biggest things stopping me from making the progress that I wanted to make were the thoughts that I was having about myself and the role and influence I had in my own life. I realized I kept repeating a phrase, and the phrase was more or less, I keep doing everything in my power and I'm getting constantly let down. I give 100% and I always fail. Nothing ends up the way that I hope it ends up, and I always do everything that I say I'm going to do in this situation, and for some reason, no one feels that they have to live up to their side of the bargain. I always felt that I did everything that I could, and everyone that I was engaged with let me down in one way or another. And it was at that point that I had this weird thought, and I realized if I truly was doing everything that I could, if I was at 100%, if I was at my maximum capacity, then that left me nowhere to improve. That left life with no way for me to influence it to get better. If that was the truth, if I was doing everything that I could do and nothing was going the way that I wanted it to go or that I thought it should go, then I didn't know where I could go in order to change things. So I realized that I had to stop thinking that specific thought. I got stuck over and over in my own head because I was missing a key component. I was the one who was creating the problem. So how would I be the one to solve it? There's a real good quote by Albert Einstein here that says, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. So basically, I had to get out of my own head. I needed new information. The feeling of trying to repeatedly solve a problem with the same information was exhausting to me. I was depressed and I felt like I was going insane. I felt like it was maddening. I had the same information and I kept trying to rearrange it in different ways that gave me a different answer, and it never worked. I didn't know what to do. The story I was telling myself about myself had to change. I had to completely reprogram myself. I realized I had to cut myself off from all things that would stop me from making the progress I wanted to make, and I had to be extremely conscious of all the things that I consumed. And that means with my mouth, ears, eyes, as well as with my energy. I had to look at what I was spending my time and energy doing. Who was I spending my time around? I really began to take the role of the trainer and the beast, the animal being trained. I realized that I was the one that had the direction, but I was also the one that needed to be directed. It was a very strange place for me to be. So I really took control here. I began consuming only that which would benefit me. Through daily action, work, and effort, and nightly meditation to reflect on the information gained through said action, I began to slowly gain more self-awareness. I began to understand how certain habits and thoughts were holding me back. The slow and steady realizations that I was coming to were truly fueling my desire to continue this change, and it really made me dig in even deeper. This process for me is an ongoing one. It's not a process I see ending anytime soon at all. It's a process that I've really, truly grown to enjoy and appreciate. I wrote here that on the other side of the wall you've built around yourself is a world of limitless possibilities and countless unforeseeable opportunities. I was the one holding me back, but I simply lacked the information I needed to make the progress I wanted. I now own my own business. I'm making more money than I've ever made in my entire life. I'm independent and I truly love my work. I have people around me who I never dreamed I would be surrounded by, and I continue to encounter opportunities that I thought were only fantasy. All of this because I chose to take responsibility for myself and my life. Because I took sculpting into my own hands instead of leaving it to outside influences. I took the time to admit to myself that I was ignorant, and I would continue to be ignorant unless I changed my ways. I studied material on the subjects I wanted to improve in daily. I took it upon myself to reprogram myself into the type of person I wanted to be, instead of trying to program myself into the type of person that simply achieves goals. I realized that if I was the type of person I wanted to be, I would achieve the things that I wanted to achieve by default. And so instead of simply trying to achieve those things and hoping that that in turn would make me the person I wanted to be, I decided that I would invert the process. I would make myself into the type of person that achieves those goals. So what I wanted to do with you all is share a list of activities, a list of people, a list of books, and a very short list of YouTube channels that I was literally obsessed with. This is all of, not necessarily all of, actually, let me rephrase that. This is a fraction of the information that I consumed and the people that inspired me and that I learned from and that I became a student to over the last 5 years in particular, yes, 2 years more than that, but looking back on my entire life, almost consistently over the last 15 years. So I'll start with people, all right? I do have a list of people here. Alan Watts, David Goggins, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, Sadhguru, Gary Vaynerchuk, Robert Kiyosaki, Eric Thomas, Les Brown, Dan Pena, a good client and friend of mine, Rich Lopp, a couple of other very good friends of mine and close clients, 2 people, actually Rich Lopp included in this group of people. These 3 people in particular have truly, truly and honestly fueled my progress over the last 1.5 to 2 years. And I would not be where I am, specifically making these videos and owning my own business and being self-sufficient in the way that I am without these people. Good clients and friends of mine, Rich Lopp, Steve, and June. I've also listened to Will Smith, my own grandparents. I learned an unbelievable amount from my grandparents. Mr. Denzel Washington, Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie, Jim Rohn, Earl Nightingale, Simon Sinek, Mel Robbins. That's just a short list, guys, of the people that I've listened to. I've listened to their lectures, their talks. I've read their material, their books if they've written them. Bruce Lee can be added to that list. That list goes on and on and on and on. It would be hard for me to name all of the people that have influenced me in one way or another. However, just to give you guys a short list of people that you can look up and reference for your own personal journey and learning at this point in time, and people whose information is readily available to you with simply a couple clicks on your phone or your laptop. Now, books as well. Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Wake Up and Live, The Book of 5 Rings, a book called Awakening to the Tao. I've read many Zen koans. There are books and collections of Zen koans. There's plenty of places online. But I really like the material contained in the Zen koans. For some reason, it tickles my brain quite a bit. There's a book called Hagakure, The Art of War, The Tao of Pooh. There's a multitude of textbooks that I have and have read. My personal training textbooks, nutritioning, strength and conditioning, lots of math textbooks, philosophy, any textbook where it's the base level of knowledge for a given subject. I like to start there, and I like to get a good understanding of the basics. So I do have a collection of quite a few textbooks. There's a book called As a Man Thinketh that is one of the most profound and substantial books that I've read over the last, I would say in my entire life, by far. Zen in the Art of Archery, Zen in the Martial Arts. This is just a short list of the books that I've read over the last, few years that have really helped my thought process, that have changed the way that I thought about things, and have really given me the opportunity to explore new thought processes that are different from my own. And as far as their YouTube channels, there were a few YouTube channels in particular that I've really grown fond of over the last year or so. It's a YouTube channel called Motiversity. There's a YouTube channel called VYBO. There's a YouTube channel called Motivation Hub. And then I also really like the TED Talks channel on YouTube. Now, there's also plenty of, compilations of speeches and motivation and inspiration on YouTube that are kind of a compilation of a lot of the people that I named and some of their biggest quotes and excerpts from their best talks and lectures and things of that nature. So that's a list of some of the information that I've absorbed over the last, however many years. And I suppose, in summary, what this is all about is taking responsibility and taking control. But it's hard to take responsibility and control if you're not necessarily sure what to do or where to go with that responsibility. I had a hard time figuring out how to get to where I wanted to go with the information that I had. And I realized that the solution was very, very simple, but I was very, very stupid. And that answer was simply to learn more, read more, shut your mouth, open your eyes and ears, and empty my cup. I wanted to empty my cup. I realized that if I was at maximum, if I was the best, then I really didn't have anywhere to go. I had my back against the wall. I was between a rock and a hard place, because if I was at my best, then I was up to the will of external circumstances to take me wherever it wanted to take me. And I didn't like that feeling. So what I decided was to kind of take responsibility and take control and really learn a lot more about the type of person that I wanted to become. I knew that I wanted to be financially responsible, that I wanted to own my own business, that I wanted to have sound judgment. I wanted to be the type of person that had control over my emotions and was kind to others regardless of how I felt inside. That was very, very important to me. And so I wanted to learn from the people who I looked up to, who I thought were that, or was that, or however you want to say it. So I hope this video helps. I really hope that you take it upon yourself to go back and rewind and listen to the list of people, books, activities. I hope I read the list of activities. Let me go back here really quick, just in case I didn't, because I can't remember whether I did or didn't. There was a list of activities that I engaged in that really helped me. And these activities were meditation, physical exercise, goal setting. I set goals for who I wanted to be quite a bit more often than I set goals for what I wanted to have or where I wanted to be. again, I knew that if I was who I wanted to be, then by default, I would go the places that I was meant to go, and I would have the things that I was meant to have. I read a lot. I read a whole lot, and continue to read a lot. I did intentional learning on subjects that I wanted to learn more about in order to help me get to where I wanted to go. As far as increasing my skill set and knowledge base, I knew that if I wanted to be this person and I was this person, in between that was simply a lot of knowledge and repetition. So I began to increase my skill set and knowledge base, and put in a lot more reps in those areas. I began writing and journaling a lot more than I ever had. I realized that writing and journaling gave me a way to take the process outside of myself and get a different perspective on it. Kind of reading it gave me a third person or a third party look at it, and it helped me analyze my movements a little bit better, and it was nice to hear my thoughts back at myself from that manner. So it was a nice little reflection for me. Martial arts practice has been unspeakably huge in my progress. Listening to podcasts over and over and over again, lots of different podcasts on lots of different subjects. Listening to variations of instrumental music that I hadn't listened before, or hadn't listened to before, because I had this thought in my head that if I was listening to new things, that maybe it would help spur new thoughts and it would kind of create new vibrations and frequencies. So I decided to listen to new variations of instrumental music. And then I began consciously structuring my Instagram feed for motivation, information, and inspiration. I realized that Instagram fed me what I wanted to see, and so I consciously told Instagram what I wanted to see, and that was inspirational quotes, stoicism, Zen motivation and Zen koans, workout motivation, workout information, other people that were making progress in the area that I hope to make progress in, other coaches, life coaches. Instagram is an amazing tool because it allows you to ramp up your access to the information to the information that will help you make progress in the areas that you want to make progress in. So I consciously structured my Instagram feed. I took a lot of screenshots of a lot of stuff that resonated with me, and I would just read through that stuff over and over and over and over again. I had a very conscious process and still do. I trimmed all the fat. I cut everything out of my life that I felt didn't serve my purpose. So hopefully this provides you guys with some direction. I know a lot of people say, how do I start to think new thoughts? That's easier said than done. A lot of people will say, you're not dealing with the type of stuff that I'm dealing with, so you don't know how hard it is for me to overcome this situation. I really did think the same thing to every single person that ever tried to help me. And I realized that I was the one that had to help me. And as soon as I took responsibility, absolutely everything changed. So once again, I hope that this helps. I realized that I probably ranted and rambled a little bit more than I would have liked to. However, hopefully there was a couple of pieces of information in there that you all can collect and utilize for your own personal progress towards your potential. As always, please give this video a thumbs up if you like the information inside. Please subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications. That way you don't miss out on any information that will help you reach your potential. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please drop them below in the comment section. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to all of my new clients. You know who you are. I appreciate you, and I will see you later on this week. It is Sunday evening. I will be uploading this video. I look forward to all of your views and comments tomorrow morning on Monday. Hopefully this will give you new direction for your week. Thank you all so much for being a part of this, and good night.